You ever watch someone achieve what seems impossible and wonder how they do it? How they stay calm when everything is falling apart? How they refuse to quit even when the odds are stacked against them? You might call it determination, grit, or even stubbornness. But what you are really witnessing is unbreakable willpower, that rare force that makes some people unstoppable. And the truth is, it's not magic. The psychology, it's patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior that anyone can begin to understand and even start to cultivate. Today, we are diving deep into the psychology of people with unbreakable willpower. You will learn the traits that define them, the mental habits that keep them going when others give up, and the subtle ways their minds are wired differently. By the end, you'll start seeing willpower not as something you are born with, but as something you can train and strengthen in yourself. The first thing to understand is that willpower is not just stubbornness. It is a cognitive muscle. When you resist impulses, delay gratification, and persist in the face of obstacles, you are engaging your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, self-control, and decision-making. Research in neuroscience shows that willpower is linked to the anterior cingulate cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. These areas manage attention, evaluate risks, and control impulses. People with strong willpower don't just have better self-control, they have trained these neural circuits through practice, habit, and mindset. Developmental psychology also shows us that willpower emerges from early experiences of delayed gratification, challenge, and responsibility. Think about the famous marshmallow experiment. Children who were able to wait for a second marshmallow often developed better coping strategies, focus, and long-term planning skills. In adulthood, these traits translate into resilience, focus, and the ability to follow through on goals despite discomfort or uncertainty. Now, let's explore the 10 traits that define people with unbreakable willpower. Each one is a window into their mindset, their behavior, and the subtle psychology that keeps them moving forward no matter what. The first trait, relentless focus. People with unbreakable willpower know what matters. They don't let distractions steal their energy. Neuroscientifically, this is linked to sustained attention and selective inhibition, the ability to ignore irrelevant stimuli while concentrating on a goal. Imagine someone training for a marathon. Every day, they wake up before sunrise, push through soreness, and avoid distractions like social media or late-night TV. To outsiders, it might seem extreme, but for them, the focus is effortless because they have internalized their purpose. Their brain has been conditioned to prioritize goal-related stimuli, filtering out the noise. This focus is not rigid. They can shift attention when needed, but they always return to what matters most. If you struggle with focus, notice how often your brain flits between tasks without a clear priority. Willpower is not about doing more. It's about deciding what deserves your energy and protecting it fiercely. The second trait, emotional regulation. Unbreakable willpower is fueled by emotional mastery. People who achieve extraordinary goals do not eliminate emotions, they manage them. They know how to prevent fear, frustration, or doubt from dictating their actions. Neuroscience explains this through the interplay between the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. The amygdala triggers emotional responses, while the prefrontal cortex evaluates, modulates, and decides whether to act. People with strong willpower have practiced this connection, allowing them to pause before reacting and choose their response intentionally. Consider a CEO navigating a business crisis. Competitors are panicking, employees are stressed, and decisions are urgent. Instead of reacting emotionally, they assess the situation calmly, weighing options and taking deliberate steps. Emotional regulation is not suppression. It is channeling emotional energy toward productive action. The third trait, mastery over immediate gratification. One of the hallmarks of unbreakable willpower is the ability to delay gratification. This is more than resisting temptation, it is a structured approach to reward management. Psychologists call this temporal discounting, the tendency to value immediate rewards over future gains. People with strong willpower consistently invert this bias. They focus on long-term outcomes, knowing that short-term discomfort is a necessary investment. Think of a writer waking up at dawn every day to finish a novel. The temptation is easy sleep, Netflix, scrolling social media, but the vision of completing the book keeps them anchored. Their brain has been trained to prioritize enduring satisfaction over fleeting pleasure. The fourth trait, adaptive resilience. Willpower is not about never failing, it is about responding effectively to failure. Resilient individuals see setbacks as feedback, not punishment. Cognitive flexibility allows them to reassess strategies, adapt plans, and continue pursuing their goals without losing momentum. A practical example is an athlete recovering from injury. The pain, the loss of routine, and the uncertainty could derail anyone. But someone with unbreakable willpower uses setbacks as data. They adjust training, seek guidance, and remain committed to the outcome. Their resilience is a learned process, reinforced through experience and mindset conditioning. The fifth trait, purpose-driven motivation. People with extraordinary willpower operate with clarity about why they are doing what they do. Purpose functions as an internal compass. It triggers the release of dopamine when they progress, creating a reward loop that fuels persistence. Viktor Frankl, a neurologist and psychiatrist, documented this in his studies of survival in concentration camps. Those who identified a meaningful purpose, even under extreme duress, were far more likely to endure. Purpose is the psychological fuel that keeps willpower alive when circumstances are bleak. If you find yourself wavering in motivation, examine your why. Strong willpower emerges when goals are tied to deeper values, not superficial rewards. The sixth trait, structured habits. Willpower thrives on routines. People who achieve extraordinary goals do not rely solely on motivation, they build habits that automate discipline. Habits reduce the cognitive load of decision-making, freeing mental energy for high-priority tasks. Charles Duhigg, in The Power of Habit, highlights the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Individuals with unbreakable willpower consciously design their loops. They set up cues that trigger productive behavior, follow through with routine, and celebrate small wins. A practical example is someone who wants to maintain peak fitness. They structure workouts at the same time every day, lay out clothes and equipment the night before, and track progress. The system supports the willpower muscle instead of relying on sheer grit alone. The seventh trait, strategic self-compassion. Paradoxically, strong willpower requires kindness toward oneself. People with unbreakable resolve understand the psychology of self-criticism and burnout. They know that punishment erodes persistence, while self-compassion strengthens it. Research by Kristen Neff shows that self-compassion enhances resilience, reduces stress, and improves goal adherence. It's the difference between saying, "I failed, I am worthless, and I stumbled, what can I adjust?" Imagine a student missing a critical exam mark. Instead of collapsing into guilt, they analyze mistakes, create a plan, and resume studying. Self-compassion is a strategic tool to preserve willpower over the long term. The eighth trait, cognitive reframing. People with unbreakable willpower see obstacles differently. They reframe challenges as opportunities for growth. Cognitive reframing alters perception, reduces threat response, and strengthens motivation. For example, a startup founder facing rejection does not interpret it as a personal failure. They reframe the experience. This feedback is data. I can improve and come back stronger. Neuroplasticity supports this process, the brain's ability to change based on experience. Habitual reframing strengthens neural pathways associated with resilience and adaptive thinking. Reframing allows individuals to maintain action even under stress. It turns fear into fuel, frustration into learning, and delay into discipline. The ninth trait, environmental mastery. Willpower is not only internal, it is external. Individuals with unbreakable willpower design their environment to reduce temptation and maximize focus. This is consistent with behavioral psychology principles. Shape your environment, shape your behavior. Consider someone trying to eat healthily. They remove junk food from the kitchen, prepare meals in advance, and surround themselves with supportive peers. By controlling environmental cues, they reduce cognitive friction and preserve willpower for critical decisions. This trait underscores the synergy of internal and external systems. Strong minds are amplified by structured surroundings. The 10th trait, patience and long-term orientation. Perhaps the most defining trait of unbreakable willpower is patience. People with strong resolve can endure delayed outcomes without frustration or impulsive decision-making. This is reflected in the psychology of future self-continuity's ability to connect present actions with future benefits. Investors, artists, and high achievers often exhibit this trait. They understand that growth, mastery, and impact are cumulative. They embrace slow progress, incremental improvement, and sustained effort. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active persistence, the quiet engine behind every long-term success story. Reflecting on these 10 traits, a pattern emerges. Willpower is not about force or rigid self-discipline. It is about clarity, emotional mastery, strategic systems, and connection to purpose. It is a combination of internal cognition and external design, reinforced through habit, reflection, and experience. Think about your own life. Where could focus replace distraction? Where could reframing transform a problem into an opportunity? Where could structured habits make action automatic instead of exhausting? Willpower is not a fixed trait. It is a set of behaviors and mindsets you can cultivate. Unbreakable willpower is the psychology of persistence, the art of aligning mind, emotion, and environment with long-term purpose. It is visible in every deliberate decision, every resisted impulse, and every small victory compounded over time. People with strong willpower do not exist in isolation. They have honed a system of thought and action that supports resilience, growth, and impact. When you start recognizing these traits in yourself and others, you begin to see willpower as a map, not a myth. It is not a spark you either have or lack. It is a muscle you can train, a process you can design, and a mindset you can nurture. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, every obstacle you face becomes an opportunity to strengthen that muscle. In the end, willpower is the bridge between intention and achievement. It is what allows you to endure, to persist, to transform adversity into growth, and to turn long-term vision into reality. The psychology of unbreakable willpower teaches us that success is not Luke Kit is the sum of small, intentional choices executed with clarity, purpose, and relentless consistency. Look at your life through this lens. Notice the impulses you resist, the routines you maintain, the way you respond to failure. Every step you take, guided by understanding and self-mastery, builds your capacity to persist. Unbreakable willpower is not a destination. It is a continuous journey of thought, habit, and action. And the people who embody it are not extraordinary because they never struggle. They are extraordinary because they never stop moving forward, even when the struggle is real.